I don't think it's a secret that America's foundation, our traditional values, and the family are all under attack. We've seen a lot of cities like Baltimore, San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, and so many others turn into hellscapes because of Democrats and what they want to push. Their narratives are gender mutilation for many kids, sending billions of dollars to other countries like Ukraine.
Pensions and social support to be paid to the Ukrainian people so they have something in their pocket.
Well, we here in this country, well, we suffer.
My cell phone is disconnected because I can't pay the bill. The everyday necessities, you can't afford them anymore. And when you're stuck with nothing, what do?
When I ran for Congress several years ago, I was never interested in running from the truth. I wanted to face the problems the country has today. In our very first episode, we were able to tackle two major issues facing our country today. One being President Biden and his entire family. There is an alleged massive corruption scandal, and we were able to talk to Congressman Byron Donalds, the House Oversight Committee member that has been on top of all of this.
Now, President of the United States had no idea that his son was engaged in the sale of a cobalt mine to a Chinese company? I mean, come on, folks. That is just crazy.
Tell us about the Devon Archer transcribed interview, and how is this relevant to the Biden corruption probe and potential impeachment?
Oh, you're talking about the biggest story that the media won't cover? Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you about it. Devon, he tried to go out his way to say, oh, but Joe Biden never talked about business on the call. If you talk every day, you know what your son is doing.
Biden will kill both of them. Biden passed three bipartisan pieces of legislation.
You know what that's like? You know what that's like? That's like saying Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes. Come on now.
Biden will wipe the floor with DeSantis.
In what world?
Come on.
In what world? Bizarro land?
CHIPS Act.
Stop.
How are you?
Doing good. It's good to see you.
You too. Oh,
man. My normal casual days here on the Capitol Hill.
Yeah, well, you're the only one working today.
Oh, no, that's not true.
No, I want to appreciate you. Thank you for taking time today. You've got a lot going on. Like, I used to see you in the news often. And now I see you on the news every single hour of the day. How has that been for you?
Weird, actually. I didn't really think it was going to be like this. But you just do the job. And right now the job is getting the message out about what needs to happen for our country. Holding this administration accountable, and then also just continuing to push the ideas of conservatism and what that means, and in some respects trying to help our party grow while also maintaining our principles as a party. And I think that we can do that and be very effective. So if it means doing a lot of media hits, so be it. Now, getting back to Joe Biden, I do think he's compromised simply because his brother and his son were engaged with dealings of foreign companies and foreign countries. We have now documented China and Romania, and he knows nothing. If he doesn't know anything, he is the dumbest person in the history of the planet and shouldn't be president of the United States. The White House is not serious. They came out with a proposal to spend another $30 billion more than they already wanted to spend. They're not taking a look at the reality of where our country is fiscally.
When I first met you in 2020, I was like, okay, this guy is going to be something great. But here we are in 2023. I mean, you've been representing your district now in Naples, Florida for 2 years. I mean, how has this dynamic been for you so far? Because you've been doing a lot.
Actually, I took a step back the other day because I had like a little bit of downtime and was really just kind of taking it all in. And I was just like, wow, there's like a lot has happened. A lot's happened since that bus in Georgia. It's a blessing. I don't really get too focused on like the enormity of it because, you know, that'd be too much. It's just day in, day out, just keeping your head down, doing a job in front of you. Not worrying about criticism, because everybody's gonna get criticism, especially if you're doing something effective, you're gonna get criticized. So I don't worry too much about that. I just look at an issue or look at the thing in front of me. Is this the right decision to make? Let's do that. Is there a better way to accomplish this goal? Okay. Try to be mindful of the other members that I work with, because everybody, even amongst Republicans, we all kind of have our slight slants of politics and how we think things should go, and just trying to work with the people that are up here who represent their districts too, to try to find the best way to move the best conservative policies that we can.
Yeah. So you've always been a guy, I think, that has done his own thing, right? And you got a lot of people that kind of want you to toe the party line. And I've noticed this a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your message to those individuals? Because this is not a cult, right? It's like, yeah, you're in the Republican Party, but you're going to have different ideas and you're going to have different stances on things. And I think that's great, right? You bring something else to the table. But how has that been for you? Because I know there's a lot of criticism out there.
I'm going to do what I do. So actually the funny thing is, I didn't get here by being the toeing the party line. Even when I ran for Congress, I was not the person that some of the people who've been around a long time wanted to have. Even when I ran for the state legislature back in 2016, I was not the candidate that a lot of people wanted. But, I mean, enough people wanted her because I won the election. But I think when you're talking about like the Republican Party or the Republican establishment, however you want to phrase it, I've never been that guy. And I'm not gonna be. In my life, all the things I've been through, even at the age of 44 now, doing it this way works. So I'm gonna just, do what I think is right. I don't get caught up in what other people will think about the word I might use or the phrase I might use. Because to be perfectly blunt on it, if Republicans have been doing this thing right, there would be no need for me to be here. I would be back home making money, but the country's on the line. So if it means, I have to break some eggs in order to make a better omelet, then that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm not afraid of that.
All right, well, let me ask you this. If he were to call you tomorrow and said, Byron Donalds, I need you as my VP, what is your response to that?
Wow. Here's what I could tell you right now. Would I do it? Or would I be like really interested in it? Yeah, like who wouldn't? Like, it's really an honor, Kim, I don't even get that far. I worry about the day.
Right.
But if it came up, would I do it? Yeah. It's about the country. And, if he felt or anybody else felt that there's something else that needed to be done to get the mission accomplished, then that's what I'm here for. And I'm also very clear with a lot of people, like, I'm term limited. I don't think this is a lifetime deal. I think you come in, you do your job, you go home. When I was in the state legislature, I would talk to a lot of my colleagues, and I would always try to tell them, like, guys, we're vapors in time, all of us. So we have a window of opportunity to do great things for this country. And if that's what it is, then so be it. But when my time is over, it'll be over just like everybody else's, and I'm gonna go back to the real world, get out of this game, and just go make money, enjoy my family, live life.
Yeah, speaking of family, how hard has this been? I know you've got children, I know you have a beautiful wife, I met Erica. How has this been on the family dynamic for you?
Well, I'll say it's gotten better. My kids, I was joking with my homeboy. I said, man, my kids are good. Like all three of them. Yeah. They're in a good spot. And, honestly, that's a reflection of all the work that my wife does at home, because she's covering a lot because I'm not there. Yeah. It's a blessing from God that they're in a good spot, and they're young, and they're still maturing and going through their phases. But they're good. And I think for my sons in particular, I would hope that my life tells them that if you're going to accomplish something, you got to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice time. You got to sacrifice friends. Sometimes you got to sacrifice time with family. But in this life, if you're going to do something monumental, something impactful, you're going to have to sacrifice. And that doesn't mean that you don't love your family, you're not there for your family. But there's a mission in front of you that you have to accomplish, and every man has to walk that out. Every woman has to walk that out. And so I think that has kind of helped my kids and my wife, understand that this is what dad's doing. It's cool. I want him home. My youngest son said to me, he goes, Dad, can you just quit your job now and come home? Yeah. And I said, buddy, not yet. I said, it's stuff I got to do. But as you grow up and you mature, you're going to see that too for yourself. And I would expect nothing less than you do what needs to be done. I take my kids sometimes. They come with me to like different trips and things like that. And that really helps. Like I think, one of them came with me to Turning Point. Okay. And so he got to walk around. And so my 15-year-old son, like people are taking pictures and whatnot. I'm doing selfies. And he walks up behind me. He goes, hey, excuse me. Hey, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, man, get out of here, man. You know, but I try to take them with me. I try to bring them up here about once a year or so, just so they can see it and see, okay, this is what my dad is doing. And I miss him, but he's doing big things, and I love him.
Speaking of big things, there's a lot of people that are depending on you and the Oversight Committee. You guys are now investigating the Biden family and their finances. Are we going to see some accountability here if this investigation leads to basically that there were some corrupt things going on behind the scenes for the VP and his son? Yeah,
I certainly think so. And I think, Speaker McCarthy came out the other day and he said that, look, he thinks that we're basically in the crosshairs of starting an impeachment inquiry. You have a situation where what we've uncovered in 7 months on the Oversight Committee is significantly more than anything I thought we were going to uncover. There is a web of corruption surrounding Joe Biden. Hunter Biden is the bag man. He's the one getting all the money through the front door. And in my view, Hunter Biden was spending that money on his dad for their living expenses and all that other stuff. I mean, Joe Biden was a U.S. Senator his entire life. How does he have a beach house? Explain that one to me. And now we're starting to prove it with Burisma, with CEFC, the money from Romania, the money from China. We're seeing the lines. So do I think there's going to be accountability? I do. I've been talking to my colleagues, all sides of our conference. And as we've been getting them up to speed on everything that we've found in our investigations, they're like, oh my gosh, this is public corruption. This is something Richard Nixon could only dream of. And let me just be clear with Nixon. What happened with Nixon is that he didn't order his guys to break into the Watergate Hotel, but he used his office to cover it up. Joe Biden and Merrick Garland are covering up for this web of corruption that is surrounding the Biden family. And so I think that they're going to be held to account.
Well, we're happy to hear that. You talk about Joe Biden like you don't like him. You did vote for Joe Biden, correct?
No, never.
So you ain't black?
Man, it's funny. I remember because I listen to the Breakfast Club.
Got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I listen every now and again.
Yeah.
And I remember when it happened, and I was so mad. I think I went on my phone and did like a quick little video because it's ridiculous. Look, in our country, the basis of our country is speech. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of worship, freedom to assemble, freedom to petition your government. That's the basis of our country. So for him to say that because you couldn't support him that you're now less than is so disrespectful. It takes our country back. Because then what you're doing is that you're shaming black people who have a different political viewpoint, have a different world viewpoint. And you know this. Listen, black people, we have various major views on a lot of topics. We're not monolithic. We don't think one way. But unfortunately, the Democrat Party thinks that we only think one way. I
think there's an awakening that's happening. I think a lot of people are seeing what the Democrats have done, especially in inner cities.
I think so. And again, I think what you're going to start seeing with black voters is there are some, they're going to still remain Democrats, and it's fine. That's America. You got to make a choice. I think black men in particular are starting to become far more independent. Some are moving into the Republican column. And I think as black families continue to grow, the black nuclear family, it's growing in our country again. It's a wonderful thing as black levels of wealth and success continue to grow in our country. That's a wonderful thing. I think those political discussions are going to become more robust. As a Republican, I think that my party is doing a better job, but we have to do a lot more work. Because it's not about just asking for somebody's vote in September. You got to start building real relationships in a lot of these communities so that they get past the RD conversation and get into a real thought of, man, these Republicans are actually doing the right thing.
All right, so I have to ask you, Congressman, there's some controversies going on, especially on social media and other places. The curriculum in Florida. We've been hearing about this curriculum, how they're going to teach slavery and other parts of black history in Florida, the good, the bad, the ugly. And apparently there are some people that don't like the fact that you don't agree with every piece of the language that's going to be used. If you could just tell us a little bit about that and tell us your reaction to some of those that are just so upset with you just because you have a difference of opinion.
Well, I mean, first thing is I agree with Dave Chappelle. I don't think Twitter's a real place anyway. I just don't. Because if you have a real issue, you call me on my phone, come talk to me, and we'll hash it out. What happened really was that nationally, like the national press didn't even ask me about it. We saw it happening. It was a thing between Kamala and Governor DeSantis, and that's fine, okay? My local press asked me about it. So I told them my opinion. I was like, listen, I think what we have here is very good. Children in our state are gonna learn history. But yeah, that sentence, it bothers me. That's all. I think they should adjust that, but I think they will. I think is what I told the press at the time. What I didn't anticipate was that the DeSantis team was gonna take that and just make a story out of it. And that's how it started. They took it and were like, oh, what are you doing? You can't side with the vice president, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, I'm not siding with her. I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to play politics. I'm just telling you my thought. That's it. They made a story where there didn't need to be one. Now, am I just gonna stand there and just take it and not say anything? No, I don't do that. Like, I will respond. I made a couple calls. And I asked key people, I said, what is this? And why are we doing this? But if I got to respond, I will. And I did. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. It's not even an issue. Do I think that the Department of Education has done the right thing about how we're going to teach Black history in our schools? Yes, I do. That one sentence, yeah, I got a problem with it. But that doesn't mean I'm throwing it all out and going after Florida. I would never do that. And it definitely doesn't mean I'm siding with Kamala Harris, because she's just trying to score political points.
Yeah, and just in case people aren't familiar, you don't like the sentence where it says that slavery was beneficial, as if it was like some job training program. And
yeah, I'm
there's a
not
lot
with
of people that are not happy about that. So
no, I don't think it's, I understand what the scholars who created the standards are saying. I really do. But it's just all about how you go about saying the thing that you want to make sure is taught. That's all. And so the fact, and I think the story was petering out anyway. Everybody was on to the next thing from a media standpoint. But the DeSantis campaign and I think the official office, they decided to make an issue. Okay, well, if you're gonna make an issue, then I'm gonna make an issue. And that's where it is.
Well, can I tell you my opinion, the outside looking in?
Yeah.
I think they see you as a threat. I think that's what this is about. I mean, I think, number one, he's not doing very well in the polls when it comes to President Trump. He's in second place, but barely. And there are a lot of people floating your name for a possible VP pick, but your name's also being floated as a possible governor pick in the state of Florida. Do you feel as though that maybe they do see you somewhat as a threat politically?
I don't think so, because, you know, from a political standpoint, we're really operating in two different spheres. You know, like, he's running for president, he's our governor, I'm a member of Congress. So I don't really think there's like a direct competition between us. There really is not. So I don't think that's what it is. You know, I do think part of it is they're trying to find ways to get their footing in the presidential race, which is becoming harder and harder for them. So I probably think it's probably more about that than anything. But I just think that this little spat that now you have MSNBC and they're trying to read all into it, I don't think it's good for our party. I don't think it's good for what we're trying to do about bringing more voters into our party politically. I don't think it helps them. I don't think it helps me. So I really just think that this should just stop, frankly, and then we move on to the things that really matter.
Congressman Donalds, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks.